Part 16. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 151. After today, everyone in the human race can attain enlightenment. The magnificent sound spread throughout the universe and shocked all races. Especially the human race, they fell into unprecedented shock. There is a lock in the heart of heaven, blocking the way forward for the human race. Could it be that, for all the ages, this is the truth that no one in our human race can prove? The human monks murmured one after another. Those human beings who are not familiar with cultivation may not be able to understand it, but for these monks who have embarked on the road of cultivation, the feeling is the most obvious. Just now, they all have a mysterious trap. The feeling of the invisible shackles on the body being broken. It is difficult to describe what it feels like. The world becomes clearer in front of their eyes. The manifestation of 10,000 ways becomes more and more obvious. More importantly, the shackles of the past are gone. All human monks, there is a sense of freedom and relief from the heart, like being reborn. This feeling is something they could never experience in the past. As for the changes that have happened to the human race, other creatures in the universe, the race cannot be understood. Because they are not human race, they cannot experience the feeling of the shackles being broken. However, the figure who contends with the endless punishment of heaven in the wilderness of the universe is branded in the eyes of those ancient beings, and it is difficult to fade away. Being able to make the mark of Wandao and Tianxin appear, this person's strength has definitely reached the ultimate realm. But after reaching the extreme realm, it didn't match the Tianxin mark, which was a bit strange. In the ancient restricted area, the slightly confused voice of the ancient supreme came. Their real bodies have not left the restricted area, separated by the boundless universe. Although they feel the earth-shattering fluctuations, they can only roughly assess the opponent's realm and combat power. Being able to make the mark of Tianxin appear proves that the opponent should be at the peak of the extreme realm. But in the end, it did not match the Tianxin seal. Even the ancient supremes had never encountered such a thing before, which was beyond their understanding. I am more curious about him. When did such a being appear in the world? I have never heard of it for hundreds of thousands of years. Could it be that he was like the ruthless emperor of the human race, who existed millions of years ago? An ancient supreme being said solemnly. The path to immortality is about to open, and some existences that existed millions of years ago are also resurrecting. This world is already somewhat out of our control. Another supreme being, if all thoughts, oh, break the shackles of the human race? When we ruled the world, we were consistent with the Tianxin seal, but we never saw any shackles on the Tianxin seal. Perhaps, this person wants to take this opportunity to blind us and set up a trap. Another supreme person guessed. No more guessing, he's coming. The ancient voice sounded, shocking all the ancient supreme beings in the forbidden area. Because the figure who went to the frontier of the universe and endured endless punishment was now crossing the universe and heading towards the 5 major domains. His speed, it is so fast, surpassing all the speeds in the world. Every moment, billions of light years flow, and it is almost like staying in the eternal time realm forever. In just one breath, it crosses the entire universe and descends on the 5 realms. How is that? A figure? White clothes fluttering, majestic and majestic, the fairy light obscures his face, only the black hair is dancing. He stands proudly, like an immortal descending from the dust, looking down on the world, with supreme grace. He stands on the sky in the eastern wasteland, and then, something happened that shocked all living beings in the eastern wasteland. Above the sky, the boundless void shattered, and a huge island suddenly appeared, suspended above the sky in the eastern wasteland. The ancient island was majestic, stretching for thousands of miles, like the shadow that covers the sky covers the eastern wasteland. Around the ancient island, there is even more chaotic energy and flying fairy light, covering everything on the ancient island, making it impossible to see through. And the appearance of this ancient island is even more, it is extremely mysterious. Its main body is shaped like an ancient coffin, and the 9 mountains extending out look like 9 real dragons. It is majestic, endlessly magnificent, and shocking. On the main island that looks like an ancient coffin, there is a statue. An ancient heavenly stele stands, with the word God engraved on it with endless Dao patterns. It was exactly when Emperor Qian was born in the past, and he was about to launch a dark turmoil. The Empress descended on the island of Shankang, where she came from, in a 9-dragon coffin. Now, unexpectedly, appeared again in the sky of the eastern wasteland. You receive shocking points, add 999,999 from Emperor Kun. You receive shocking points, add 999,999 from the Spirit Emperor. You receive from Qin Mu stood on the sky, looking at the shocking points that kept rising upwards, with an indifferent expression. He took one step and came to the island of heaven, hidden in the endless mist of chaos. At this moment, all the people in the eastern wasteland were in an uproar. This immortal-like creature actually comes from Shankang Island. They share the same origin with the ruthless emperor, coming from the same place. At this moment, many of the supreme beings in the ancient restricted areas were shocked and couldn't help but cast their eyes on the mysterious Shankang Island, wanting to see through this place and understand all the secrets here. But at this moment, in the Shankang Island, which was surrounded by the fairy light and chaotic energy, a cold snort came out, shocking the world. I am the Lord of Heaven, how can you spy on the place where I live? Roll. The sound shook the world, it was extremely domineering, and thousands of ways roared with it. Countless monks trembled when they heard it, and their blood was boiling. They simply couldn't believe what their ears heard. This statue came to the master. The supreme existence of Shankang Island is so domineering, scolding the ancient supreme being. Treating the ancient supreme being as nothing. All sentient beings are shocked. Who can do this, who dares to do this throughout the ages? I have never seen it before. Who is the ancient supreme being? They all belong to the same era. The master of the world is an existence invincible to the entire universe. Even the current emperor would not dare to treat them with such contempt. But now, this being who has entered Shankang Island and claims to be the Lord of God is scolding the ancient supreme. This God Lord, aren't you afraid of making the ancient supreme beings in the restricted areas angry and want to settle accounts with him? Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 152. Qin Mu scolded the ancient supreme being. Heaven and earth were silent, and all spirits were trembling. Only a few restricted areas could not calm down. Lord of Heaven? Even if you existed millions of years ago, it would be too much to despise us like this. Are these actions a demonstration against us? The power of the Supreme One cannot be insulted. It is too arrogant to be so arrogant. Everywhere in the ancient restricted area is boiling, and in the central area, there is a ray of light that stirs up the 33rd heaven. The heaven and earth are trembling, ghosts are crying, gods are howling, and there are various visions. There is a downpour of blood falling from the sky, and there are also the horrific scene of corpses lying millions of miles away, with blood flowing in the oars. Unfolds. That is the ancient supreme being resurrecting and getting angry. Throughout the ages, who can reach their realm, who is not invincible in the same generation, and looks down upon the past and present? In this universe, they are the supreme, the supreme. Nothing can make them retreat, and nothing can make them bow their heads. Naturally, nothing can bring down their face. The ancient supreme being must not be lightly insulted. At this moment, the 5 realms, the boundless territory of billions of miles is trembling. It is the anger of the ancient supreme beings that stirs up the world. All living beings are in fear. Their hairs stand on end. They cannot help but kowtow. They are afraid that these ancient supreme beings will take action in anger and destroy this land. The world has turned into nothingness. At the same time, all creatures are also lamenting that the existence of this self-proclaimed Lord of Heaven is too arrogant and arrogant. It has actually made the supreme beings in the forbidden areas angry. If they gather together and attack, who in this universe can resist it? Not even the human empress who established the ancient restricted area. However, just when all living beings are trembling, feeling that the Lord of Heaven may not be able to end it, next everything that happened has subverted their cognition and imagination. It will be forever engraved in the memory of all souls. Even if millions of years have passed, it cannot fade away and will last forever. Qin Mu stood silently on Shangkang Island. Looking forward. Looking at the supreme auras that stirred up heaven and earth in the restricted areas, there was no trace of fear or concern on his face. Instead, he looked calm and did not take all of this into consideration. All because of his realm and combat power at the moment. What is a mortal immortal? Become an immortal in the mortal world, invincible in the mortal world. At this moment, in this universe, he is a truly eternal and invincible existence. Not to mention the ancient supreme being, even if the enlightened person appears in this world, he will not be able to do it at all. It's his opponent. Just like before, in the secret realm he manifested, Emperor Yetian suppressed the ancient emperor of Jidao with one palm and couldn't lift his head. The ancient supreme beings still have the value of continuing to exist. The secret realm I will arrange next will involve them, so there is no point in killing them now. However, today is the perfect opportunity to demonstrate the peerless majesty of the Lord of Heaven. Qin Mu said calmly to himself. As he gradually laid out various secret realms, his strength became stronger and stronger. In this universe, all living beings, even these ancient supreme beings who are in the ancient restricted area, are just the chessboard he has laid out. They are just chess pieces. Since they are chess pieces, Qin Mu will not kill them until they have played all their roles and are still valuable. After all, these ancient supreme beings will be an important source of shock points for Qin Mu in the future. However, although it is not necessary to kill all these ancient supreme beings, but Qin Mu's identity as the Lord of Heaven requires the blood of the supreme beings to establish his supreme status. Ancient supreme beings, they are just a group of poor people hiding in the forbidden area and lingering in the world. Those who kill themselves with a knife will have no hope of becoming immortals in their lifetime. Qin Mu moved Wandao and spoke indifferently. The sound shook the 9 heavens. He moved, stretched out a white palm, made a sword-slashing gesture, and swung it towards a certain forbidden area. The sword of calming chaos. The sword came out, put an end to the chaos. Buzz. It was just a simple wave of the palm, but it seemed to have the power to command the world. At this moment, there was a sword light that seemed to be able to penetrate through eternity, slashing out from Shangkang Island, cutting through the eternal silence, and reappearing the true meaning of the creation of the world. The sword's radiance is so bright that it is difficult to describe the grace of this sword. It surpasses the understanding of all living beings in the world. It is unparalleled and shocks the world. Even if generations of ancient emperors from ancient times have been here, they will be shocked when they see this sword. Because it is so unparalleled and domineering, as if it has stirred up the past, present and future, carries all the heavens and all the ways, and runs through the universe, it is simply difficult to compete with it. This sword. Lord of Heaven. At this moment, in the ancient restricted area facing the sword light, the frightened and angry roar of an ancient supreme being came. He was locked and became the target of the sword light. And the only way to truly face the sword light is only when you have the sword light will you know its power. It is a majestic power that overpowers everything, as if it has penetrated the past, present and future, and is simply unstoppable. Roar. At this moment, the locked ancient supreme roared, shattered the divine source and came out. His Tao body was unparalleled, stirring up all the ways of heaven and earth. He wanted to sublime to the extreme and reach the extreme realm again to resist this blow. But the sword, the speed of the light attack was so fast that it penetrated through eternity. In just an instant, it approached the restricted area and fell towards the ancient supreme being. Boom! Mountain of the Immortal. This was the direction in which Qin Mu waved his hand. The sword light fell, and the place was instantly shrouded in endless fairy light. The flowers of the avenue are blooming, the fairy light is burning fiercely, and there is even the sound of eternal chanting, shaking the ages. Immediately afterwards, a scene that shocked everyone into words appeared. The immortal mountain roared, and a body flew out from here, penetrated the universe, and fell to the edge of the universe. Blood as brilliant as red clouds was swaying, and strings of blood beads fell, destroying all the star fields. It was the blood of the Supreme, possessing endless majestic power, even the stars could not bear it. And the one flying out was naturally the ancient Supreme being locked by the sword light. At this moment, his condition was extremely miserable. The Wujiang imperial body was almost cut in half and was difficult to heal. As for the immortal mountain, nearly half of it has stood here since ancient times. The majestic ancient mountains were swept away by the remaining power of the sword and turned into ruins. He cleared half of the restricted area with one blow and beat an ancient supreme being to the point of death from severe injuries. At this moment, all spirits truly realized the strength and majesty of the Lord of Heaven. A thought also emerged at this moment, deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts. The Lord of Heaven is invincible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 153. Oh my God, Lord of Heaven. Is this the strength of the Lord of Heaven? With a casual blow, he severely damaged the ancient Supreme Being. No wonder he can look down on the Supreme Being in the world and treat him as nothing. Things are about to change. Throughout the ages, the Emperor's way has not been revealed, and the ancient Supreme Being is the greatest master of this world. But now, the appearance of the Lord of Heaven will overturn this history. This kind of fighting power is really more terrifying than the ruthless empress of the human race. Could an ancient existence millions of years ago really be so powerful? At this moment, all living beings were trembling at the invincible fighting power of the Lord of Heaven. Who in the past and present has been able to defeat him? Not even the ancient supreme beings. Not only all living beings, but even several large restricted areas were trapped in a death-like state at this moment. Silence. Everything happened too fast. From the time Qin Mu took action to the time when the ancient supreme being was bleeding and flying across the borders of the universe, only a moment had passed. And the ancient supreme being had not even reached the ultimate level of sublimation. There was no time before he was beaten and flew away. Is this Lord of Heaven really stronger than the human empress? In the restricted areas, one by one the ancient supremes were shocked. With the existence of such combat power, throughout the ages, I have never seen it before. Even if the Lord of Heaven only made a move, a quick glance is enough to see how powerful the opponent is. You receive shock points add 199,9999 from the Lord of Reincarnation. You receive shocking points add 199,9999 from Stone Emperor. You receive shocking points add 199,9999 from the Immortal Tears Green Gold Holy Spirit. You receive from Shankang Island. Qin Mu stood with his hands behind his hands, overlooking the vast world. Looking at the extremely miserable ancient supreme being in the bloody universe, the expression on his face was very indifferent. In fact, this was the result of his holding back. If he hadn't felt that keeping these ancient supreme beings would be useful in the future, if he had struck out with all his strength just now, coupled with the terrifying power of the Immortal King's Battle of Pingluanju, it would have been enough to wipe out the opponent with one blow. Now, the results look just right. His goal of intimidating the restricted areas was achieved, and he also harvested a batch of shocking points. Originally, after consuming shock points and being promoted to the realm of mortal immortals, Qin Mu had very few shock points left. But now, after first opening the shackles of the heavenly heart for the human race, and then transforming into the Lord of Heaven, he defeated the ancient Supreme Being and shocked the restricted areas. Qin Mu now has nearly 300 million shock points. All restricted areas were shocked and fell into silence. Qin Mu turned his attention to the ancient forbidden area again. At this moment, the ancient forbidden zone was silent, shrouded in thick mist. But Qin Mu saw through it at a glance and saw the scene in the restricted area. He saw the terrifying crack that was punched out by the ruthless emperor's palm, and he also saw the bronze immortal palace under the crack, and even the ruthless emperor in the bronze immortal palace. However, the ruthless empress's current state is a bit strange. Layers upon layers of fairy light wrapped around the ruthless empress, turning her into a large cocoon, burying her in it, as if she was undergoing some kind of miraculous transformation. So that's it, he is indeed a ruthless emperor. Qin Mu whispered to himself. He had just been wondering why the ruthless emperor made no move when Shankang Island appeared. After all, she fell from Shankang Island. If Shankang Island appeared, she would definitely come to find out what happened immediately. But until Qin Mu retreated from the ancient supreme power just now, everything in the ancient restricted area was quiet, and no ruthless emperor appeared. Now after some investigation by Qin Mu, he found out that the ruthless empress was entering a wonderful state of transformation. She is moving forward, regaining her former fighting power and realm. If she continues, even if Qin Mu does not realize the Tao fruit for her, she is likely to be promoted to the realm of the Red Dust Immortal, and truly transform into a flawless empress. Sure enough, to embody real creatures, everything about them is not static, but will change over time, and truly find their own way. Qin Mu said thoughtfully. Because he has his own soul, his subsequent life trajectory and every move will naturally not follow Qin Mu's will. However, the talent of the ruthless empress is truly amazing. It has reached the extreme. When she was manifested by Qin Mu, she only possessed part of the Dao and soul. But now, she is moving forward on her own. Qin Mu estimates that even if he no longer embodies the Empress Dao fruit, the ruthless emperor, if you continue to practice like this, one day you will complete your Taoism and soul, and transform into a perfect empress again to rule the world. It seems that the plan to manifest the Queen's Dao fruit is being advanced. Qin Mu said, stroking his chin. Although he can't control every move of the ruthless empress, he can indirectly influence her through the memories he creates. At least he guarantees that the two will never become enemies. And the Dao fruit of the ruthless emperor has now, this is a key part of the plan. Now it seems that it is time to put it on the agenda in advance. After everything is done, Qin Mu returns Shankang Island back to the secret space. Seeing that Shankang Island above the 9 heavens has returned to the void, turned into nothingness, and the Lord of Heaven also disappeared. Somehow, the ancient supreme beings in the restricted areas felt a sense of relief. However, the gazes of the supreme beings looking at Jushin, there is still a trace of lingering fear. Everything that happened today has really subverted their cognition and imagination. All the living beings in the 5 domains looked at the boundless sky with emotion. Shankang Island. I'm afraid it should be the sky. The restricted area is the one. However, the other restricted areas are restricted areas for all beings in the world. And this forbidden area of God is the restricted area for the ancient supreme being. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 154. God's Forbidden Area. This is the new name given to Shankang Island by all living beings. Today is destined to be recorded in the history of all races forever. Since the Empress established the ancient restricted area some time ago, the Lord of Heaven has been occupying the forbidden area of the sky, looking down at the Supreme Being and overlooking the world. A few months later, God restricted the area. Qin Mu stood here with his hands behind his back, his expression indifferent. Since that day when he wiped out half of the restricted area with one blow and attacked the ancient Supreme Being, he first took Shangkang Island back to the secret space. Later, he thought that he also needed a place to stay in the human world. Moreover, with his cultivation as a human being, even if the restricted area of heaven existed in the world, no living being would be able to explore this place without his permission. So Qin Mu simply materialized Shangkang Island again, floating in the boundless sky of the eastern wasteland. Since that day, Qin Mu has been staying in the restricted area of heaven and has not come to the world. Because with his current state, there is no need to come in person. Even if he stands here, all changes in the world and all mysteries in the universe cannot escape his eyes. The Teku 10,000 races really have a rich foundation. Qin Mu sighed. In the past few days, he had looked down at the world and took in everything. Naturally, all living things in the world, including all the ancient races, could not escape his control. And after some investigation, Qin Mu discovered. The power of the ancient clans in the world today is only a part of it. The truly powerful existences are like those supreme beings in the restricted area, who have been sleeping and have not yet been born. Just like those ancient royal families who gave birth to the ancient emperor in the past, almost I have never heard of them manifesting in the world. Basically, the ancient royal families are rampant in the world, and several ancient royal families have always been very low-key and not shown in the world. The reason for all this, according to Qin Mu's guess, should be the arrangements of the ancestors of these clans and the emperors of the past. The ancient supreme beings in the restricted area spent hundreds of thousands of years waiting for what? Waiting for the path to immortality to open, waiting for a chance to become an immortal. And those of the past, some emperors, in order to allow their subordinates and relatives to become immortals together, deliberately sealed the people close to them in the divine source. They waited for the opportunity to become immortals, then revived from the divine source, and flew to immortality together. After a generation, these emperors, the ancient bloodline accumulated over generations and dormant to this day, is the true heritage and essence of all ancient races. Why are you hiding? Since you need a great world and become an immortal, I will give you this opportunity. Everything that is hidden is brought to light. Only in this way can it be lively. Otherwise, how could I harvest the shock points? Qin Mu said to himself with a smile on his face. Everything is under his control. Before, when he was breaking the shackles of the heart of heaven for the human race, he used heaven-defying means to promote 10,000 ways and make the universe full of vitality again. This universe, it is not set in stone. In a great age that is conducive to spiritual practice, there will naturally be times when the 10,000 ways of heaven and earth are not revealed and practice is difficult. What Qin Mu did is to stir up all the 10,000 ways of the universe and make them appear, which is more conducive to practice. In other words, he is taking action to promote the advent of a great age. Only when the great age comes, will these dormant creatures and forces come out one after another. In this way, the world will become lively and can provide Qin Mu with shocking points. There will be more and more creatures. Now, several months have passed since Qin Mu activated 10,000 Daos and broke the shackles of the heart of heaven. Some signs have begun to appear in the universe. It is expected that these dormant creatures and races will revive. That day will not be too far away. Wanling doesn't know that everything in the world is the result of an invisible hand pushing behind the scenes. However, all living beings can clearly detect the changes between heaven and earth. Some monks who had been stuck at a certain level for a long time actually had an epiphany and broke through the original level in the past few months. The monks of all races can clearly feel that their speed of cultivation and enlightenment has increased by more than 10% compared to before. There are also countless ordinary beings who suddenly experienced enlightenment during this period, opened the door to practice, and stepped into the ranks of practice. And this was unimaginable before. This kind of sign, could it be that the great age is about to come? There are ancient beings who are well versed in ancient history, and after observing the changes in the world, they couldn't help but sigh. I can feel that the manifestations of heaven and earth are becoming more and more obvious, and the concentration of spiritual energy in the universe has also improved significantly compared with before. The number of geniuses born from various races is also gradually increasing. It seems that another brilliant world is coming. When the great age comes, all races will benefit from it. And the real beneficiaries are undoubtedly the geniuses of all races who have the hope of realizing the Tao in this world. They are born at this time, and when the great age comes, they will be the ones to challenge the ultimate Tao. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I am afraid that some of the invincible geniuses who have been kept in the dust until now will soon appear in the world. Ancestor king of the ancient clan side. In the past, when the ancient emperor came to the world, he could not attain enlightenment because the emperor was still alive. Therefore, they would seal their most powerful descendants of the bloodline who were expected to attain enlightenment in the divine source, waiting for future benefits. The great age of enlightenment appears, and then it is resurrected, fighting for hegemony in the world, and impacting the position of the ultimate Tao. Now, the great age is about to come, and these geniuses who have been sealed in the dust so far, with the purest imperial blood flowing in their bodies, may all will be born. Fight in this life and fight for the position of the ultimate. All souls are sighing and looking forward to the coming of this brilliant world. There are even more ancient forces that are ready to move and are ready to be born at any time. But I am afraid that no matter what, it's unimaginable. Everything is the result of Qin Mu's secret promotion behind the scenes. The reactions of Wan Ling and the actions of those ancient forces are like chess pieces placed on the chessboard by Qin Mu. Every move is controlled by him. Under control. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 155. Just as Qin Mu expected, after the universe regained its vitality and the myriad ways of heaven and earth appeared, it became more conducive to practice. Those ancient forces of all races that have been silent are finally no longer silent, but believe that they have finally waited for the opportunity. They no longer keep a low profile and hide, but choose to be born again, hoping to come again in this life, rule the world, and reappear the clan in the past. The Supreme Majesty of the Supreme Emperor. Eastern Wasteland, Yuan Huang Mountain. This is the residence of the royal family whose bloodline was left by the former Supreme Emperor Yuan Huang. The mountains are majestic and majestic. The tribe's settlement has always been shrouded in fog, and few creatures of this tribe have come to the world. But at this moment, Yuan Huang Mountain is no longer peaceful, and the Yuan Huang royal family bloodline has also become active. All this is because of the direct bloodline of Emperor Yuan. The son of Emperor Yuan, who has been sealed in the divine source for hundreds of thousands of years, has finally resurrected from the divine source and returned to the world. Prince Yuan, this is a very majestic young man, every inch of flesh and blood in his body is shining, even every strand of hair is like this, like a god walking in the world, making the stars and the moon dim. He is very strong and inherits the bloodline of Emperor Yuan. Although he is not very young, he already possesses the cultivation level of Dao-slaying king. He is only one step away from the ancient saint. My father once said that because his way suppresses all the ways in the universe, I will never have the chance to attain enlightenment in my lifetime with him. Therefore, he will seal me to the future generations and wait for the opportunity. When the time comes when there is hope for enlightenment, I will wake up from the divine source and compete for the opportunity to become emperor in this life. Now that I have recovered from the source of God, I expect that the great age that my father spoke of has finally arrived. Prince Yuan whispered, but in his calm tone, he could not hide his confidence and domineering tone. Now that I have arrived, in this life, I will reach the pinnacle of enlightenment, just like my father, I will rule the universe and overlook the world. Not just Yuan Huang Mountain, within a few days, all the ancient royal families in the 5 regions, including Blood Phoenix Ridge, Primordial Lake, Fire Lin Cave, Ling Huang Palace, these royal bloodlines have all become active, and they have the parents and children of the ancient emperor. My own daughter resurrected from the divine source and came to the world. In addition, there are some truly ancient and powerful ancient royal families who have sensed the coming of this great age and have been born one after another. In the world, all spirits are revived, and there is a prosperous scene. The activity and revival of several ancient royal families shocked the spirits of all the ancient clans in the world. Previously, because of the series of secret realms arranged by Qin Mu, the living beings of these ancient races in this world were all severely hit. It is difficult for them to have the scornful and disdainful mentality of the human race in the past. But now, the revival of the ancient royal family has made the ancient clans regain some confidence. The great age has come, and all ancient races are prospering. The descendants of the royal blood are awakening one after another, and the powerful and talented people of all races are also emerging one after another. There is no doubt that although the human race has had its glory in the past, its current comprehensive combat power is far less than that of the ancient races. As for the number and quality of geniuses who can compete for the ultimate imperial road, they are far from enough. The ancient tribes have pure-blooded descendants of the ancient emperor, and every daughter of the ancient emperor can be said to be invincible in the same realm. And what about the human race? There has never been an emperor's son or daughter. The ancient emperor's bloodline is the most powerful physique in the world, able to look down upon all the so-called geniuses and geniuses. But now, the backward strength of the human race is far from enough. There is no qualification or ability to compete with the ancient clans. Perhaps, the final result. It will be a fight between the children of the ancient emperor for the chance to ascend to the extreme realm. As for the human race, they had already lost at the starting point, and there was no way they could make it to the end. Almost 100% of those who can achieve enlightenment in this world are the geniuses of the ancient clan. As for the human race, there is no chance. God's forbidden area. Qin Mu sat cross-legged quietly, his mind wandering too much, controlling every move between heaven and earth, with a faint smile on his lips. He opened his eyes and chuckled. The fish finally bit the hook, and it looked like it was time to make the next step. Everything is developing according to Qin Mu's will. With the advent of the Great Age, many ancient royal families have revived, and the children of ancient princes who have been dusted have also been born, competing for the opportunity to become enlightened in this world. Since the chess pieces and the audience have already bit, the next good show will naturally start to take place. Are the children of ancient emperors invincible? Haha, maybe the human race should also have the sons and daughters of emperors come into the world and have the courage to kill them. Moreover, it's time for the eternally famous villain to appear. The human race has the Emperor of Heaven, the great Emperor Wu Shi, and the ruthless Empress. How could all the races in ancient times not have a supreme being of their own? I wonder what will happen to these ancient races in this world after I create a supreme being from the ancient races millions of years ago? I'm afraid I'll be ecstatic. Qin Mu murmured to himself. In the many secret realms he created before, the human race has continued to have supreme beings appear, and there are even several beings that are above the extreme realm. And the ancient tribes have always used the extreme. The Dao Emperor realm is the highest realm. But this time, Qin Mu considered creating a secret realm for the ancient tribes. It would be too monotonous to only create a powerful supreme being of the human race. But if he could create a statue of the ancient tribes that would surpass the extreme, if the supreme existence above the Dao Emperor realm is in sharp contrast to the supreme existence of the human race, the result will definitely be completely different. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 156. The fish has taken the bait, and it's time to start setting up the next secret realm. Qin Mu stood up, his mind turned, and his figure disappeared from the place and came to the secret space. An ancient divine mountain appears. Qin Mu said softly. Boom. As Qin Mu finished speaking, an ancient mountain appeared from nothingness, like the moon rising over the sea. It was magnificent and magnificent, compelling people's hearts. At the foot of the ancient Shinayu mountain, a pair of ancient stone gates appeared, and within the Shinayu mountain, a secret space with a radius of 1,000,000 miles appeared. Boom. The sacred mountain shook. According to Qin Mu's idea, a pair of huge stone gates emerged at the foot of this ancient sacred mountain. The divine gates were magnificent and majestic, with many ancient divine patterns engraved on them. And behind the pair of stone gates, a secret space with a radius of 1,000,000 miles emerged, filled with misty chaos, as if the world had just opened. Next, Qin Mu manifested various specific objects in this secret space and began to perfect the details of this secret realm. In the end, a vibrant and vast secret world was completed in the shaping of Qin Mu. Only the last step is left, to manifest a spiritual coffin. Qin Mu scolded lightly, and a 3-foot-long god's coffin exuding endless majesty was materialized. Embodying a wisp of the immortal emperor's divine thoughts. A ray of reality. Present 1. Shock points passed crazily, and this secret realm became more and more complete as Qin Mu shaped it. In the end, it took half a day and nearly 80 million shock points to create this secret realm. After the secret realm was created, Qin Mu directly placed the secret realm in the eastern wasteland without waiting. The eastern wasteland, the territory of the ancient tribe, the border with the human race. Boom. The earth trembled, rocks penetrated the sky, smoke and clouds rose everywhere, and sudden terrifying waves were spreading. Ah! The screams came out. They were some ancient creatures here who were unable to dodge and suffered a disaster. They were crushed into flesh by the power of heaven and earth and were removed from the world. The void cracked, large black cracks spread across the earth, and a vast underground world appeared. It was hazy and filled with an endless aura of terror. It looked like an immortal lying on his side, lying dead here. Boom. In this ancient underground ruins, a majestic ancient mountain rises, majestic and majestic, endlessly magnificent, giving people the illusion of an emperor in the mountain, which is extremely breathtaking. At the same time, an ancient bell was ringing in the Wuxi sacred mountain, thousands of miles away, outside the human sacred Sun City. That's the beginningless bell ringing. The sound spread all over the world and shocked the past and present. The creatures in the eastern wasteland couldn't help but look sideways and cast their gazes in the direction of Wuxi sacred mountain with surprise and suspicion in their eyes. Ever since the Wuxi bell rang and killed several ancient kings, Wuxi sacred mountain has fallen into silence. However, the legend and majesty of the Wuxi emperor are echoing throughout the eastern wasteland, and no one knows about it. Because he is too special. Among the many secret realms that Qin Mu has manifested, Emperor Wuxi is the most mysterious and unpredictable. No miracles appeared, no divine thoughts came, only a beginningless sacred mountain came to the dust, and it was just the imperial soldiers in the hands of the past, gently vibrating several times. But the origin of Emperor Wuxi and the experiences on those ancient murals are enough to make the world awe of this extremely mysterious human emperor. But now, the Wuxi Holy Mountain, which had been dormant for a long time, has revived again, and the Wuxi bell, the ultimate emperor of the Wuxi emperor, is ringing again. What happened to cause the beginningless bell to ring? All spirits were shocked and quickly locked onto the source of the target. At the border between the ancient race and the human race, the earth cracked and mountains collapsed, and an ancient divine mountain emerged, and it was suspected that there was a Jidao aura permeating the air. In the vast eastern wilderness, this place is the only place with unusual movements, and they are extremely extraordinary. Presumably that's why the bell without beginning rang. For a moment, the human race was shocked. Experts from all walks of life went to the place where the ancient divine mountain emerged to find out. And among the ancient tribes, there was no peace either. Especially within the major royal families, the children of the ancient emperor were even more interested. After all, these children of the ancient emperor have not been alive for hundreds of thousands of years. So since the recovery, the first thing they did was to understand the changes in the world today. And after knowing that the human race is changing now, that the relics of the ancient emperors are constantly appearing, and that supreme beings such as the Emperor of Heaven and the Ruthless Emperor have appeared in the world, although the children of these ancient emperors were shocked, they were more disbelieving and uncertain. After all, they are all the children of the ancient emperor who once ruled the world. They all believed that their father was the strongest being in the world. Now, someone told them that the human race, which had always been weak, had given birth to existences of the extreme realm, and even existences that were above the extreme realm and above their father. How can you believe these extremely proud children of the ancient emperor? And now, there is a relic that causes the Wuxi bell to ring and is suspected to be related to the human race Wuxi great emperor. How can these ancient princes not be interested? The beginningless emperor? Just right. This prince wants to see who he is, who dares to be so arrogant as to claim to be above my father. Prince Yuan snorted coldly, with a cold light in his eyes. After saying that, he walked in the direction where the ancient divine mountain appeared. And in several other places where the ancient royal family was located, the Blood Phoenix Ridge, the Primordial Lake, the Fire Lin Cave, the Spirit Emperor Palace. The children of the ancient princes all left, heading towards the same place, where the ancient divine mountain appeared. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 157. Ouch. The beginning bell is ringing. It's the emperor. Somewhere in the eastern wasteland, after hearing the Wuxi bell ringing, the Black Emperor stood upright, his two copper bell-like eyes filled with excitement. Since leaving the Wuxi sacred mountain, it has been searching for the Emperor Wuxi's name in the world. There are traces of it. But the world today is completely different from what it remembered. The history of millions of years ago is not revealed, and everything is shrouded in fog. After months of exploration, it still found nothing. Not to mention that it found the Wuxi Emperor. Not even the slightest trace left behind by the Emperor Wuxi was found. In the end, the Black Emperor almost rushed into the ancient restricted area to meet the ruthless Empress. But now, the Wuxi bell began to ring. The fire of hope began again. The Black Emperor's eyes burned. Great Emperor! I am coming. The Black Emperor waved his big claws, laying out teleportation array patterns in the void, and then stepped into the space teleportation array and walked in the direction of the wave. Not only the Black Emperor, Duan Yun's Hung, Yun Ruoxi, Ye Lingxiu, they were noticing after the wave, like the Black Emperor, he rushed towards the direction of the wave as fast as possible. For a moment, the storm in the eastern wasteland was turbulent, and all the ancient races, human race, monster race, all the heroes came together, all heading towards go to the place where the ancient divine mountain is. It's interesting that there are so many living beings here, and there are also several comrades like me. Prince Yuan stood in front of Shinayu, with a divine light in his eyes. He looked around and said calmly to himself. There were strong men from the human race, demon race, and ancient races. What interested Prince Yuan even more was that he actually felt the presence of there are several creatures with similar bloodline fluctuations as his in their bodies. Those creatures are all shrouded in brilliant divine light, young and stalwart, and outstanding. They must be the same as him, and they are all the direct descendants of the former Supreme Emperor. Blood descendants. Like Prince Yuan, the children of the ancient princes who were similar to him were also silently sizing up each other. In front of Shinayu, Although all the heroes gathered, in the eyes of the children of the ancient princes, there was only each other. They are arrogant and confident. Only the children of the ancient emperors who also have royal blood flowing in their bodies will be regarded as their opponents. The rest are not worth mentioning. Are these the so-called geniuses that the human race has recently become famous for? Prince Yun glanced at Yelingxiu and Yunruoxi, said indifferently, and then looked away. A few so-called geniuses of the human race were just the so-called geniuses of the human race, and they had not yet been taken into consideration by him. Just now, Prince Yun even moved to kill them. These so-called geniuses of the human race tried to frustrate the vigor of the human race. But in the end, he gave up. Several of the ancient prince's children were listed here. If he were the first to take action, wouldn't he have lost his identity in vain? They were just a few geniuses of the human race. He is not worthy of being his opponent at all, so there is no need to pay too much attention to it. In the future, the emperor's struggle for supremacy will be wiped out. Several other ancient princes' children probably have the same idea as Prince Yun. Therefore, even if the heroes gather in before Shinayu Mountain, the scene rarely remained calm, and there was no fighting for a while. In the end, everyone gathered and arrived at the foot of Shinayu Mountain, because there was a portal there, and there was a mysterious aura emerging, which seemed to lead to an ancient place. In the secret world. Shimen is ancient, with a history of millions of years. From that period of time that has disappeared. There are ancient divine inscriptions engraved on the ancient portal. Analyze these sacred texts and see what is engraved on them. The most powerful man of all races in the ancient times, the supreme being, respected by all ages, the burial place of the immortal emperor. As the content inscribed on the stone gate was continuously analyzed, the ancient clans and even several of the ancient prince's children, including Prince Yun, couldn't help but be shocked. An ancient ruin from millions of years ago. And it is suspected that the most powerful man in the history of the ancient races is buried among them. He is respected by all races, and even many ancient emperors in later generations imitate and look up to him, the immortal emperor. Immortal emperor, such an arrogant and domineering name. Prince Yun said in shock. In the name of immortality, the title of emperor. This kind of courage and heroic spirit is enough to dominate the heavens and be proud of the past and the present. Although the sacred inscriptions inscribed on the ancient stone gate are brief, they create a statue of an unparalleled image of an emperor. He is the most powerful of the imperial beings born from all races in the ancient times. He is also the first emperor in the ancient times. During his reign, he looked down upon the heavens and shocked the world, and the evil spirits of ancient and modern times were in despair. Respected throughout the ages, so that enlightened people from all ancient tribes in later generations followed suit and took the name of the emperor. Why does an ancient emperor from all clans, who is suspected of being above the imperial way, make the Wuxi bell ring? The Black Emperor is puzzled. In its memory, there is no existence related to the immortal emperor. However, it has never suspected anything. After all, it has only been with Emperor Wuxi for a short time, and it has never understood the past history. How much? Even if you don't know about the so-called immortal emperor, it is normal. Get inside and find out. The content engraved on the stone gate shocked the heroes in front of Shinayu. But in the end, several ancient princes' children took the lead in breaking down the stone gate and entered the world behind the stone gate. The heroes also filed in one after another. What was recorded on the stone carvings after all, words can't prove anything. You must enter this place and find out what's going on before you can make a final decision. Everyone stepped into the stone gate and immediately came to another world. It is majestic and vast, incomparably vast. There is even more powerful spiritual energy surging, making the whole body seem to be being baptized, and every inch of flesh and blood is full of power. What is even more shocking is that at the end of this ancient and boundless world, there is a ladder made entirely of jade standing, winding and circling, leading to the depths of the sky, surrounded by a rich fairy mist. The ladder to the sky is incomparably majestic and majestic, chaos surges, fairy mist lingers, and tens of thousands of dragon phantoms condensed by endless principles are circling, majestic and majestic. Although they are far apart, everyone can still feel that at the end of the ladder, there seems to be an ancient coffin lying there, as if a peerless god is buried. The god is so powerful, as if it is going to crush the eternal universe. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 158. An Ancient Coffin. The heroes were shocked, and their eyes were slightly shocked. Even though they were infinitely far apart, the 3-foot-long ancient coffin was still like the center of this world, with the breath of the ages flowing, condensing the past, present and future, and running through millions of people. Years of years. What shocked the many children of the ancient princes and the ancient creatures who came was that they actually felt the slightest trembling of the blood in their bodies. It was as if, on the high platform of 10,000 feet, there was something buried there. The ancient ancestors of all the ancient races resonate with their blood. It is the throbbing and memory engraved deep in the blood, and it is still difficult to pass away even if they are separated by millions of years. Even the children of ancient princes are no exception. Millions of years ago, among all the ancient races, could there really be such a supreme being? Prince Yuan and several other ancient princes' children were shocked. They are the direct blood descendants of the Taigo Emperor, and should be the most noble bloodline in the world. But now, they feel their own bloodline trembling, even more than their father's. The feeling was even stronger when he was alive. This seemed to be enough to prove that there was a being buried in that ancient coffin that was superior to their father. Climb up and witness it all. The eyes of several ancient princes were shining with burning meaning. They couldn't wait to move forward. They wanted to climb onto this jade platform and unravel the mysterious truth millions of years ago. What's going on? Why does a mysterious statue that is suspected to be related to the supreme existence of all races in the ancient times make the emperor's beginning bell ring? The Black Emperor said in disbelief, his copper bell-sized eyes full of doubts and incomprehension. So far, everything disclosed and shown in the secret realm is related to the ancient races, and has nothing to do with the beginning. The emperor has nothing to do with it. But if that is the case, why does the Wuxi bell ring? Could it be that this so-called supreme existence of all races millions of years ago, the immortal emperor, has something to do with the Wuxi emperor? With such doubts in his heart, Black the Emperor, Yun Ruoxi, Ye Lingxiu and others followed closely behind, and moved forward. The secret space is vast, covering 1,000,000 miles in radius, and there are good divine objects and precious medicines everywhere, just like one place. Divine treasure land. However, along with the existence of these divine objects and precious medicines, there are also endless dangers. If you are not careful, you will be killed on the spot. As everyone moves forward, they explore various treasure lands. Many creatures of the ancient clan, they all died unexpectedly because of this, and everyone in the human race seemed to be very lucky. Only a few people were injured, and they all gained well. Especially the outstanding human race geniuses such as Ye Lingxiu and Yun Ruoxi received a lot of benefits. In the end, after much exploration and fighting, everyone finally arrived in front of the 10,000 feet high platform. When they arrived here, the scene became more extraordinary. Climbing up the steps of the 10,000 feet high jade platform, dragons roamed and phoenixes flew, tigers roared and chanted, and fairy mist shrouded. The images of the four spirits were incomparable. Lifelike, with tens of millions of them, composed of endless chaotic fairy lights, lingering beside the 10,000 feet jade platform, adding a sense of mystery and majesty. And at the end of the 10,000 feet jade platform, the coffin of an ancient coffin is placed ups and downs in the 9 heavens. Endless terrifying pressure, like the violent waves of the vast sea, between the vast heaven and earth, Even if they are infinitely far apart, it still makes people feel a sense of awe and surrender from the bottom of their hearts. Come forward. Having arrived here, no one had any idea of retreating. They all climbed up the ancient jade steps and headed up to the 9 heavens. The jade steps are ancient and vicissitudes of life, and there is a powerful pressure spreading on them. The higher the height, the higher the height. This kind of pressure becomes stronger and stronger. And the strange thing is that this kind of pressure seems to have spirituality. According to the different strengths of people, the degree of pressure manifested is also different. It is like a kind of screening and test, blocking the road for everyone to move forward. Everyone moved forward under pressure. And as time passed, different echelons began to appear. The first echelon was naturally the children of the ancient princes, and the 2 women Yelingxiu and Yunruoxi did not fall behind and walk with these children of the ancient emperor. The second echelon is composed of other famous geniuses of various races, as well as some ancient strong men who have been famous for a long time. As for the third echelon, there are those who are not strong or talented. Mediocre monk. It's interesting that you can keep up with me. Looking at Yunruoxi and Yelingxiu, who were in the same row as him and constantly climbing forward, Prince Yuan's eyes flickered. For the first time, he felt a little sense of importance for these 2 human race geniuses. No matter what, he can compete with them. Being in the same row is enough to prove the talent of the other party. Finally, after a difficult climb, everyone finally approached the top of the jade platform and the ancient coffin of the gods. This place is extremely empty, with a radius of thousands of feet, and an unobstructed view. It is chaos. Amidst the mist of chi and immortality, the ancient coffin of the gods was floating in it. In front of the ancient coffin, there was an ancient stele standing, full of ancient divine inscriptions. This is the life of the immortal emperor. Everyone came forward to witness everything inscribed on the ancient tablet. It was the life story of the immortal emperor, and it was more detailed than what was previously recorded on the stone gate of Shenyu. And this period of history was also extremely turbulent and magnificent, far beyond the ordinary. The ancient emperor of Jidao is really the strongest in ancient and modern times, standing at the top of all races. Does the immortal emperor exist like the human celestial emperor, the Wuxi emperor, or the ruthless emperor? Some ancient creatures said in a trembling voice. During this period of time, traces of emperors continued to appear in the human race, and there were even existences that were above the extreme realm, such as the human race's heavenly emperor, Wuxi emperor, and ruthless emperor. And the Teiku eternal world, the clan, has always been silent. But now, this silence has finally been broken. Millions of years ago, there seemed to be such an existence among all the ancient clans, which was above the imperial way and extremely powerful. Boom! Just as everyone was immersed in that ancient and in the glorious history, the coffin that was suspected to contain the immortal emperor trembled violently, and a corner was opened. Chaos energy and fairy mist surged, and in front of the ancient coffin of gods, the 9-color divine light was brilliant. There was actually a misty figure exuding endless majesty, as if it had spanned millions of years and reappeared in the human world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 159. The ancient coffin of the gods trembled, and a corner was opened on its own, and a misty figure emerged, which was gradually becoming clearer. This sudden change shocked all directions, causing all the creatures on the jade platform to take a few steps back. Is the supreme being of all races millions of years ago, the immortal emperor, about to appear? Some ancient creatures trembled. Even the children of several ancient princes, including Prince Yuan, became solemn. The aura exuding from the ancient coffin was too supreme. They had never even been in the presence of their father. They had felt it in their bodies. Coupled with the detailed records on the ancient monument, they couldn't help but believe it even more. Maybe there really was such an existence among all the ancient races millions of years ago, which suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Created an immortal era. And this place is the burial place of this supreme being. I saw. There seems to be a peerless god buried in the coffin. Is it the immortal emperor? An ancient ancestor king used his magical power and looked into the ancient coffin. Only a corner of the ancient coffin was opened, and there was endless divine light and chaotic energy surging in the coffin. But at that moment, the ancient ancestor king still saw the scene in the coffin. It seemed that there was a corpse of a peerless god buried in the ancient coffin, with endless majesty and unpredictable power. However, he only saw it for a moment. The next moment, the body of the suspected immortal emperor was covered by the endless chaotic celestial light, making it difficult to see. The ancient coffin was trembling, chaos was surging, and the figure surrounded by the 9-color divine radiance became increasingly clear, and it seemed to be crossing 1,000,000 the years have passed. And as the figure became clear, the void shook, and thousands of things trembled. Unexpectedly, the phantoms of ancient paintings emerged. Those were scenes from millions of years ago, and they were ancient statues. The history of the rise of the supreme god of the clan. In the scroll, there is a figure surrounded by 9-color divine light, possessing endless majesty, standing in the universe, and all living things are bowing to him and worshipping his supreme divine power. The whole world we all worship, and all spirits respect each other. He is the immortal emperor, the most powerful existence in the history of all races. Pictures emerge one after another, showing the glorious years and history of the past when the immortal emperor ruled the universe. The ancient creatures in the scene are all excited and unable to control themselves. Really? The human race can give birth to an existence like the human race's heavenly emperor. How can we, the ancient race, be inferior to the human race? The immortal emperor, the supreme god of all races from ancient times. The creatures of the ancient tribes who saw the scene were all shouting excitedly, their eyes full of enthusiasm and excitement. Even the children of the ancient princes could not help but remain silent, and even had strange expressions in their eyes. Color. They had to admit that judging from the contents of the ancient scrolls, the immortal emperor from millions of years ago was indeed slightly better than their father. He was worthy of being the supreme leader of the ancient tribes millions of years ago. Existence. In contrast to the creatures of the ancient races, many creatures of the human race seemed a little silent and depressed when they saw the scenes in the scroll. After all, the supreme existence does not belong to the human race, but to the ancient races. That period of glorious history has nothing to do with the human race. Even some human monks who are not strong-willed enough can't help but feel shaken in their hearts. Compared with the human race's heavenly emperor, the ruthless emperor, or the Wuxi emperor, who is better than this immortal emperor? Who is weak and strong? If the immortal emperor is stronger, it will definitely be an indescribable and huge blow to the newly established confidence of the human race. Boom! The picture scroll suddenly dispersed, and the hazy figure suddenly became extremely clear. It's like the emperor came back millions of years ago and reappeared in the human world. All spirits respect each other. Looking down at the heavens, I am the immortal emperor. The ancient and magnificent divine thoughts, sacred and peaceful, emanated from the body of that figure, causing all the world to tremble and roar. And the creatures of the ancient tribes who landed here immediately knelt down and looked up at the power of the emperor. Even the children of the ancient emperor couldn't help but lower their heads. In front of such a supreme being, even if they are the children of an ancient emperor, they must be respected and admired at this moment. But the faces of the people in the human race were ugly. Although they did not want to bow to the supreme being of the ancient tribes, the naturally exuding supreme pressure made it very difficult for them to resist. Human race, why are we still struggling and hesitating? The supreme being of all races, the immortal emperor, is here and he still doesn't bow down. That's right, This is the truly supreme existence millions of years ago. The human celestial emperor, the Shi's emperor and the ruthless emperor are all not enough. The creatures from the ancient tribes shouted proudly. Woof! What kind of immortal emperor is worthy of being the enemy of the Wuxi emperor? If the emperor were here, he would be able to suppress it in a matter of seconds. The Black Emperor glared at the ancient beings who had already knelt down and retorted excitedly. In its mind, the Wuxi emperor is the truly supreme existence. No ancient emperor or ancient supreme being is an opponent. The immortal emperor, of course there will be no exception. How dare you, a little dog demon, despise the power of the emperor? Kill it. If humans don't kneel down and worship, they will be killed. An ancient ancestor king was furious and wanted to take action to kill the Black Emperor, and made many other human races surrender and worship the immortal emperor. However, just when he was about to take action, an unparalleled pressure suddenly came, deeper than the starry sky, broader than the universe, even faintly overwhelming the majesty of the immortal emperor. And the figure of the immortal emperor suddenly moved. He looked up at the sky, and his spiritual thoughts shook. There was unexpectedly something in the ancient and magnificent divine thoughts. No matter how noble and sacred it is full of anger. I am the immortal emperor. Wuxi, you dare. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 160. The immortal emperor suddenly spoke, shocking all the creatures present. The creatures of the ancient tribes even showed hesitation and confusion on their faces. What is the immortal emperor talking about? He actually mentioned Wuxi. Could it be the beginningless emperor of the human race? Ha ha! It's the Emperor Wuxi. I feel the aura of the great emperor. Different from the frightened and uncertain creatures of the ancient tribes, the Black Emperor looked extremely excited, with his bell-like eyes wide open. He felt the aura of the great Emperor Wuxi. Boom! The ancient god's coffin shook violently, dissipating the surrounding chaotic fog, and a brilliant golden light shot out. At this time, people discovered that in front of the coffin, which was suspected to contain the immortal emperor, there was a bright golden ancient scroll printed on the head of the coffin. Now, the ancient scroll is emitting a brilliant golden light and making a haunting sound, as if it has come to life along with the ancient coffin. The ancient scroll is as bright as if it were made of gold. At this moment, it is shaking violently and rattling, emitting an extremely blazing divine light. It is sacred and vast, making people unable to look directly at it. They cannot help but worship it, and even the pressure of the immortal emperor was overwhelming. It turned out to be this divine item. Suppress this place. No wonder it has the aura of the great emperor. The Black Emperor's eyes widened as he looked at the golden ancient scroll, extremely excited. What is this golden ancient scroll? Yunruoxi couldn't help but ask. This golden ancient scroll is really extraordinary, and now it is emitting a kind of extreme wave, which is extremely vast and terrifying. Many other human races also looked sideways and looked at the Black Emperor, want to get answers from it. This is the list of gods personally practiced by Emperor Wuxi. In the past, the great Emperor Wuxi came to the world, swept through the 8 wastelands and Liuhe, and shocked the world. However, he never encountered the legendary immortal. The Emperor personally practiced this treasure and named it the Immortal Suppressing List. He wanted to use it to this suppresses the immortal. But unfortunately, the Emperor traveled all over the world, searching for the 9 heavens and exploring the underworld, but he never encountered an immortal. Instead, he used this list to suppress and kill many peerless gods, so he later simply changed its name to the List of Gods. The Black Emperor spoke eloquently, but the content of his words made everyone in the clan take a breath of cold air. Even all the ancient clans couldn't help but look sideways and were shocked. The divine object that was sacrificed by Emperor Wuxi wanted to use this suppressing the immortals? Emperor Wuxi had such courage and pride that he even ignored the legendary immortals and wanted to suppress them all. He was really invincible and powerful to the extreme. The list of gods is a sacred object trained by Emperor Wuxi. The revival of divine power is equivalent to the one hand of Emperor Wuxi suppressing it here. Any peerless gods or ancient existences that are not enough will be suppressed. The Black Emperor said proudly. It is equivalent to the one hand of the Emperor Wuxi suppressing this place. Everyone was shocked. The great Emperor Wuxi is mysterious and extraordinary, and is suspected to be superior to the extreme. One of his hands suppressed it, and its power can be imagined. However, why was Emperor Wuxi's list of gods printed on this ancient coffin that was suspected to contain the immortal emperor? Ya Lingxia murmured to herself, and then she seemed to think of something, and a look of shock appeared in her beautiful eyes. The expressions on the other people's faces were similar to Ya Lingxia's. They all seemed to have thought of something. Could it be that the Feng Shenbang was created here by the Emperor Wuxi in the past, who wanted to suppress the immortal emperor? Impossible. The immortal emperor reigns supreme. How could the human race have such power and want to suppress the immortal emperor with one hand? Joke. The creatures of the ancient tribes have also thought of this, but they are not willing to admit it at all, or refuse to admit it. They have just regarded the immortal emperor as the supreme existence of all races. If they admit this now, it is not equivalent to admitting it. Isn't the immortal emperor far from being a match for the Emperor Wuxi? What does a dog demon know? It's just a lie to confuse the public. Prince Yuan sneered and categorically vetoed. The other children of the ancient princes also shook their heads, not wanting to believe that the human race had such power without beginning. But what happened next undoubtedly overturned their ideas and left them in their hearts. All the pride and contempt he had were shattered. The golden ancient scroll shook, its whole body was bright and dazzling, and suddenly a golden cloud bloomed, hitting the body of the immortal emperor standing in front of the ancient coffin, causing his body to shake violently. Wuxi, it's too much to bully me. The immortal emperor was extremely angry, causing the gods to tremble one after another, fighting against the golden glow, trying to break through it. But then, the aura emanating from the list of gods became stronger, and the hunter danced, as if he was trying to escape from the ancient coffin. As if breaking free from the front, it traverses the 3,000 realms and penetrates the 9 heavens. There is an immortal divinity flowing, as if it wants to compete with the sun and the moon, and coexist with the heaven and the earth. Hum. A big golden hand, in the void it emerged, shattered the sky, and swept across the heavens. It was extremely powerful, and directly pressed towards the body of the immortal emperor. The golden hand dropped, and there was really the aura of the supreme Dao spreading, as if the Wuxi emperor was resurrected. With one hand suppressed, he looked down upon everything in the world and attacked the universe forever. Boom! The emperor roared angrily and stirred up thousands of ways, trying to compete with this big golden hand. But everything was in vain. That big golden hand was so devastating that nothing could resist him. All resistance was shattered and disappeared. It fell ruthlessly and iron-bloodedly, landing on the top of the immortal emperor's head, and directly pressed him up. Don't start. The emperor has already said so. The resurrection of the god list is equivalent to the great emperor Wuxi suppressing it with one hand. Even the peerless beings are not enough to see. Seeing the scene of the immortal emperor being suppressed, the black emperor roared excitedly. The list of gods appeared, showing the beginningless divine power. With just one hand, it destroyed everything, crushing the immortal emperor to the point where he couldn't even lift his head.